Go to Nigeria now, where more people have been killed by armed groups in that country in the first 6 months of this year than in all of 2024. That's according to the National Human Rights Commission, which reports over 2,200 deaths from insurgent attacks, banditry, and communal violence. The military is stretched thin. The killings are escalating, and the pressure on the government is mounting. To help us unpack what's driving the crisis and what can be done, we're joined now by Chidi Omeje, a respected Nigerian security analyst who's been following these developments closely. Kedu, Chidi Adenma?
Good morning, Asanda. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much, and thanks for making time for us on this Wednesday.
You're welcome.
These figures are deeply worrying. 2,200 people killed in just 6 months. Is it a surprise to you, these figures by this Human Rights Commission? And what's really behind the surge in violence?
It's not surprising. I mean, it's rather shocking. I mean, it's rather quite unfortunate that we are having these kind of figures. The figures are depressing. Figures are alarming and quite concerning. Because we're talking about human beings here. The issue, the security challenge in this country, Nigeria, is multifaceted. You have a situation where almost the entire, entire regions of the country, going through all manner of security challenges. From the northeast, where the terror groups, Boko Haram and the ISWAP, are still very formidable, to northwest, where you have bandits, cross-border bandits and, organized, mass kidnapping and stuff. Then, of course, to north central, where we call middle belt, we still have the farmers' header crises, you have, attacks here and there. Then down to the southern part of the country, the southeast, where you have agitations for, separatist agitation and, of course, some targeted killings here and there. Then down to south, that's Niger Delta region, where you have attack on the maritime assets. You have a cult group in southwest. So there are, all manner of challenges here. And then, of course, that there's a correlation between good governance, or rather, bad governance and spike in crime and criminality. I personally believe that what drives this thing, first of all, is the fact that we've not been able to get our governance right. Mm-hmm. And of course, there are other issues like border security at the borders. Don't forget that this Sahel, the geopolitics in the Sahel region, is equally a factor because, of course, that the Sahel is the epicenter of terrorism, and then, of course, the fact that you have porous borders, it's easy for these terror groups from across the Sahel, from Mali, from Burkina Faso, and all those kind of places, seeping through to Nigeria, through the northwest and northeast, and then these are exacerbating the challenges. So there's a potpourri of issues, and this is what is driving the crisis. And like you rightly said in your intro, the military have been stretched thin. They're overstretched, but thankfully they're not overwhelmed, so far. But then, of course, if you continue this way, time will come when they'll be overwhelmed, because it does appear that even the police, are not quite doing the internal security job as they're supposed to do. They have more like left the entire job for the military, and the military deployed we have 30 states in this country, and they are deployed in all of these states at a time when you don't have war declared formally. But then you see that military are deployed everywhere. So these are the issues. It is quite complicated, and then and these are exactly the things that you've given rise to the high number of deaths as reported by the Human Rights Commission.
Let's talk about Benue State. Nearly 200 people being killed there in just one incident. How did that happen, and what does it say then about the security gaps in some of these areas?
Benue State is in north central Nigeria, and what the issues in Benue State didn't start now. It's been there for the past almost 2 decades, where we have this farmer header crisis. Issue of the Fulani cattle rearers. They have gone haywire more or less because you know the original indigenous owners of that particular area, who are predominantly farmers, wouldn't just sit down and allow these guys to come with their cars, cattle, destroy their crops and every now and then. And you see, these are the issues. The problem in Benue is long in coming because the government have not been able to. They've not been able to frontally deal with the issues. They've not been able to, um, come out and stamp the authority, and then that political will is always missing. And then that was what gave rise to Yelwata attack. Yelwata is the village that you had about 200 people killed, a couple of weeks back. So the issues in Benue, just like in Plateau State, are quite very, very alive and kicking because we've not been able to deal with the root causes. We've not been able to, stamp our feet and say, look, this thing must stop. Every now and then, you see the government people and security agents. They are always reactive. They're not proactive. They don't deal with these issues. They wait until something happens. You now see all manner of knee-jerk, activities running here and there as if they are doing anything. They are not doing anything to curb these things. As far as I'm concerned, they've not been able to put their feet down to deal with the issues in Benue because even the 200 deaths reported is just one of those. It happens almost every now and then. Yeah. People are being killed almost on daily basis.
Talk about the different approaches of proactive and reactive. In Niger State, meanwhile, police they have reportedly freed 35 kidnapped persons from suspected Boko Haram insurgents. What of this rescue effort can be taken into future efforts and tactical efforts within the police in general?
You see, like I mentioned before, I told you that almost the entire stretch of this country is bedeviled by one grave security challenge or the other. In Niger State, like you mentioned, you have the Boko Haram people who terrorists from the northeast of Borno, but northeast state of Borno. I think they're quite, they made their way down to that Niger State, and they have some kind of sleeper cells, and they've been causing a lot of havoc there. The police are not very effective. If we're talking about dealing with those people, we don't even call police. We talk about the military. The police is almost not even, nobody reckon with them because they're much more interested in what we call VIP protection than doing internal security work. So the issue in Niger State, just like other part of that area, is quite alarming. And then the ones you talked about, the ones arrested and then released, this has always been a challenge. People don't, it doesn't sit well with Nigerians that some of these guys who are arrested are released because at the end of the day, they will go back to the crime. So we need to deal with the issue of repentance, or issue of amnesty for these people. We need to be sure who we are granting amnesty because most times they go back to the crime. So Nigerians are not happy that some of these guys who have been apprehended ended up, in the guise of amnesty or whatever, they release them back and they will go back to the crime.
Chidi, we're going to leave it there for today. Thanks again for your time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Chidi Omeje is a Nigerian security analyst joining us on the line from Kaduna this morning.